The tissues chapter has the most images of histology that we will do this semester. So let's get started. There are 5 pages of worksheets with the images that you need to know. Prior to continuing on with this video, make sure that you go through each of the pages on your own and identify as many or all of the images that you can. The first page is a connective tissue page. It asks us to find collagen fibers. So let's look around and we can see collagen fibers are these thick pink fibers. So in this particular slide, this is our dense, irregular connective tissue. So let's bring that down there. We can see the many thick layers of pink collagen fibers. In this areolar connective tissue slide here, we can see also collagen fibers. There's some more of the darker or the pink, more translucent pink fibers, but we can see they're more interspersed and they're less numerous. That's why areolar connective tissue is not as strong as our dense irregular connective tissue. But the strongest of all is going to be the dense regular connective tissue, and that is this slide here. Now we can see the collagen fibers, they're wavy because this tendon or ligament, probably a tendon, is not pulled taut where it would be straight. It's slack, and that's why we see the waves. So the waves that we see here are just bands of collagen fibers, and then we can see the nuclei that are just smooshed down in between. The adipose connective tissue is located right here. The reticular connective tissue is down here. We can see the reticular fibers in black, and we can see some of the white blood cells that are circles that are adhered to it. It is the reticular fibers that are found in the spleen, and it has white blood cells to inspect for any bad guys or antigens in our blood. An adipocyte nuclei. This just says an adipocyte would be an adipose tissue, and oh, here's a nuclei. See how they're shoved off to the side. The bulk of the cell actually is filled with fat, so the nuclei are shoved off to one side. Collagen nuclei, that would be some of these guys. It's really kind of hard to tell which nuclei belongs to which fiber. So on the exam, I won't ask you about collagen nuclei. I just really want you to identify collagen fibers, and then we skipped here, elastin fibers. These are these more long, stringy fibers. They are elastin. We can see that in our areolar connective tissue. On this slide of cartilage, we have 3 types of cartilage. We have our hyaline, also hyaline here, and fibrocartilage is in this one. We can see that the collagen fibers are these wavy little lines through here. Lacunae are these circles where the chondrocyte is going to live in. We see lots of lacunae all throughout here. They give what's sometimes known as a frog eye appearance, these little eyeballs. They're the spaces that the chondrocyte or the cartilage cell is found in. Cartilage that is found on the ends of bones is our hyaline cartilage, which we know are these 2. Cartilage that's found in the intervertebral discs and the menisci of the knee is fibrocartilage, and that's this guy. For muscle, let's find all the cardiac muscle. The top 2 are cardiac muscle. They are striated. They have striations, which are subtle little lines perpendicular to the length of the muscle. So we would have little striations within cardiac muscle, but the cells themselves have a single nucleus as well as being a shorter, stumpier cell. Smooth muscle is located here at the bottom. The one on the right is more of a zoomed out view, where the one on the left we can see is more of a close-up view, where we can see the cells a little more clearly. They have no striations. Skeletal muscle, those are the 2 here in the middle. We can see that they're multinucleated very clearly on the right-hand image. On the left-hand image, we can see them as these long logs, and we see really beautiful examples of these striations that are going in this direction. And the nuclei are just all over the place. But you should really, instead of identifying the nuclei on slides, I want you to know that for nuclei, cardiac cells have one, skeletal have multi or many, and smooth muscle only have one. We have epithelial tissue here. Let's go through simple columnar epithelial tissue, and that would be this over here. We can see these long columns. Usually the nuclei are kind of jammed up next to each other, but these are long rectangles that are siled up next to each other. The white portion are actually known as goblet cells, and that's mucus. So they're just sort of making mucus as it's producing it and then sending it out. You can see this one's dumping it out into the lumen of the small intestine. Simple cuboidal epithelial tissue, we see these little squares here. This is looks like a portion of a kidney. So the kidneys do a lot of pumping and duct work. You will find cuboidal cells in glands. Pseudo-stratified columnar epithelial tissue, you can see it's really not quite columnar, but it's tall like columnar, so it's not quite, because we have some of these small bottom ones, but we actually have a taller one here next to it, and then maybe a smaller one, and this smaller one. And so technically it is single layer, but it has a stratified appearance, so we call it pseudo-stratified. This tissue is only found along the respiratory tract. If asked on your exam, the best thing you can say trachea or bronchioles. Goblet cells, they're just the mucus producing cells. So we see them along our trachea. We also see them along our GI tract with the simple columnar cells. Cilia are these like little fringe furry components at the end of cells. They're actually important when mucus comes out. And the cilia actually move side to side like seaweed underwater and catches debris. And the cilia, the mucus will bind to the debris, and the cilia help migrate it up and out so you can spit something out if you had anything trapped in your airway, like dust or dirt that you're breathing along. Ducts. Ducts are really here, these open circles. They are often lined by simple cuboidal epithelial tissue because you find ducts associated with the kidneys and glands. Which one's found along the respiratory tract? That would be the pseudostratified columnar epithelial tissue that we see there. Which one's found inside the small intestine? That would be our simple columnar epithelial tissue, which is down there. Found in kidneys and glands, that will be our simple cuboidal, and that's going to be at this one. Oh, I kept missing this one. A nice example also of simple columnar, and it is also from the GI tract. We can see stratified squamous epithelial tissue. That's going to be this image as well as this image. This one here is the epidermis. We can tell that because of the dark line in the middle. This one here is either the vagina or esophagus or inside the cheek. It's a really beautiful example of the stratified squamous epithelial tissue. It's non-keratinized. This one, I guess, is found in the mouth. We know the keratinized is over here. Transitional epithelial tissue is located here. It's kind of bunched up, and it is found in the bladder. The neuron just looks like this.